Let's go. Let's do it.
Rolling on the road
With the doc,
rolling on the road,
with Dave,
rolling on the road.
with the doc.
100 states of the possibilities with Dave and Dr. Verity.
Okay.
We're live, Dr. Kimberly, and we cut out the crowd.
Oh,
The crowd that cheers at the end of that awesome song.
I still get excited, and it's still hard to believe that this is year 4 for us.
It's actually year 5. We finished year 4. We started year 5.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
See, that's the wacky thing about time, because a baby is 0 before it turns 1 and enters its second year. So, don't make me go to the whiteboard to explain it to our audience, because I confuse even myself.
So we're not going to go to the whiteboard today, but today is Tuesday, July 2nd, if you guys can believe that. And we're going now into year 5, because it was July 5th that we actually went official with our own everything, because we were kind of riding on the coattail of Disability Advocates of Kent County. And that started in May? So just May, June, July.
And yeah,
so in 3 months, we were able to kind of jump off on our own as our own entity, if you will. And so on Friday the 5th. So this is wonderful.
Do you remember the good old days? We'd go down to the bottom of the screen here, and we'd be like broadcast live to Facebook from Zoom, and you'd have to cut and paste that long link into, and I always got it wrong as I go live now. And if Dr. Kimberly wasn't on the show, I'm sure some of those old shows, I don't even know how well they got recorded, because it was just chaos. Because as I have disclosed many times, I'm not that technically savvy, but I do get the job done.
We do. And I remember the first show that you did without me, and that was with the liquor line. Yep, you did it with. After we did the big show together, then the second time he came back, you guys did that one by yourselves, and it was a little wonky, but guess what? It turned out good. We want to say welcome.
Wonky?
To our friends. Yeah, it was a little wonky. To our friends who are watching via X.
Oh my gosh. X.
Yeah, because you guys were talking about it. And just the conversation with you two was hilarious to me.
We're so seasoned in this work. We were with X before it was X.
Absolutely. All right. Hey, thank you so much for Artie Franklin tuning in. Hey, Artie, how's it going? So just disclosure.
Full disclosure.
I had to go back like these last few seconds before we got on air to change the title, because the title of this show was about talking to the mayor. However, we got upstaged, can you believe it, by Jill Biden, Dr. Jill Biden, the First Lady of the United States. I'm like, we must be something, because that's the only person that can really upstage us. Okay.
I'm still, greatly disappointed that the mayor chose the First Lady of the United States over us. I'm just saying.
I know. I was like, how dare she? When I see the, the middle of the night, you see this big old email saying, oh, so sorry, full disclosure, and the mayor just apologizes profusely. And I'm just like, for what? And then I go down, Jill Biden. Who?
I know. So folks, you'll have to go watch it on the local news to see Jill Biden, First Lady of the United States, with our mayor, Rosalind Bliss, because We should have invited the first lady to this show because that would have been cool.
Maybe that's what we should have done. We should have said, you know what? We got the first lady. Sorry, Rosalind, you can't come. We got to.
Sorry, Rosalind. We have the first lady.
Or actually, what we could have done is just do like I did the very first time we were trying to do the show, but I had to be in Detroit. Oh my God, with the governor and MDOT. Oh, gee. So I just went live with the governor. It's like, hold on just a minute.
Just live. That was pre rolling on the road. You still do Facebook Live or X Live or whatever live. You're live everywhere.
So now, now we are. Already said, So yeah, we were supposed to have the mayor. We were going to congratulate her because Grand Rapids made it on CNN News about being number 8 as far as being like one of the great places to, come and visit. And I want to say that's because of all the work that us pilots have done with accessibility, because that's normally the biggest thing when folks are traveling. They're traveling with varied age groups, varied disabilities, and is this going to be accessible for all of us to come, as far as a room, sidewalks? Can we have a walker and a stroller on the same sidewalk together? Can we all walk side by side?
Exactly. And as you have pointed out in your travels, some places are awesome and some places not so much. And we want to give the great places more kudos because there's enough complaining out there. So let's just focus on the good stuff and lift them up. And then people are going to realize there's money to be made in inclusion and accessibility.
Absolutely.
Lots of money. Because,
according to the survey says that the disability community, because the majority of the disability community is made up of our baby boomers who have, a couple dollars tucked away and some 401k 2s and 3s and 7s and 8s. And, they've got stocks and bonds and maybe some old money and new money. And all of that combined is more than $1 trillion. So there's definitely money that needs to be tapped into that.
They've got the original Beanie Babies that they're going to sell on eBay and make a mint.
Oh, absolutely. What color is your shirt today, Dave?
What color? It's kind of like purple. It's got purple in it and blue and black. It's a multicolored, what do they call these things? Plaidish shirt, but it's got purple.
So he's got a plaidish purple shirt on today. And the ponytail is back. I'm so excited. It's getting so longer. And he's got, look at that.
2 more years till it gets cut. So it's going to be nice and long.
Look at that smile. He's got the biggest smile on today. And so, me, I have on my signature purple and black with some nice dark purple glasses to match, and the glitter and the gloss. Always. You guys know who we are, what we look like. So it's Dave and I hanging out together because somebody wanted to go get Dr. Joe Biden off the airplane today. Wow.
Let me see if they already have arrived because, doesn't say, at least not on one local newspaper. So.
Thank you to my purple lady. Oh my goodness. I've been so excited buying all new purple items for the new accommodation.
Nice.
All the rest of the stuff is stretched out. I used to laugh at my husband because he would get mad at me and he'd say, "You've been wearing my shirts again." And I do this look like this, Dave. I'm like, "Who, me? I didn't put on your shirt." And then when he lifts it up and it has these tints in the front.
Oops.
I was like, I think it got sucked in the dryer or something. I said, I don't know how. He said 2 perfect ones right in the front. I was like, oh, well, maybe I might have put your shirt on. Yeah, maybe I might have.
Oh, folks.
So I couldn't even sneak, and put his shirt on. So now you can only imagine how my clothes are. That gonna have to get new tops. Yeah. So that's kind of interesting. Interesting. It's been a journey.
A journey, man.
But guess who I got to see today?
Who did you get to see? The mayor?
Taz.
You saw Taz today?
I got to see Taz today. She came to my home. Her and E. Daniel. E. Daniel is about this tall now.
Wow.
He's a big boy and he's just talking and he said, how you doing, Dr. Kim?
Well, and who is Taz for folks out in our listening audience?
Taz is a United States Army veteran who participated she was in peer support and in an internship with Disability Advocates of Kent County.
Well, and technically, she was an apprentice because we used to have a great program with the VA, but then they kind of shifted how they do things. Shameless anti-plug. But that Taz, because we originally called folks that were like Taz interns, but they got paid by the VA to be with us. So that's why we called them apprentices. And so Taz was with us just over a year, I think. And again, the role of this program was to come work with us and explore different jobs and then connect her to a job outside of here. Again, helping veterans get connected to employment opportunities while they learn. It wasn't a huge amount of money, but it was better than not getting paid. And again, it was our federal tax dollars at work helping veterans. We've had a great run of veteran apprentices. I mean, Taz definitely being near the top, and of course Derek Collins, who's our independent living manager. He was an apprentice with us before he then applied for a job and we hired him. So how is Taz?
She is doing really well. She is managing her son and herself and guiding through the VA system still. And we're going to keep our nose, toes, and fingers crossed that she come on board with 100 Shades. We're going to talk on Thursday, so then we'll have her back in the building.
Nice. That will be awesome. And it's, I'm to say distracted here because I'm trying to see if we get any live reports related to the First Lady arriving in Grand Rapids. Nothing on MLive, which is our local newspaper, local-ish. It's like all over the state now. So, but it would be awesome if Taz was able to be part of what we put together, because Taz is fantastic.
She is. And we're going to do a little disclosure that when we first started this, we were actually on 3 days a week. So on Tuesdays and Thursdays, we were rolling with Dr. Kimberly and Dave, and we had so many people and so much time that we had a third show, and it was called Rolling with the Doc. And I came in on Wednesdays to kind of pick up so that, our guests aren't waiting a long time. Well, if anybody happened to walk past my cubicle lately, you can see that I have this big, huge calendar that covers the whole, length and width of one side panel of the cubicle that has all these Tuesdays all filled up. And then it has all these names at the bottom because there's no space to put them up on the calendar. And we don't want to have people waiting, 60 and 90 days to come on the show. And kind of, back in April, we were already scheduled out to August. And now August is like filled. And we're just now in the first week of July. And so we're going to reprise Rolling with the Doc because Dave and I had a conversation about getting somebody to, come on Wednesdays with me. And I just said, you know what? I thought about it. There's nobody that can replace Dave. There's just, I don't mind somebody, guest co-hosting and coming through. But when it comes to, this is a Dr. Kimberly and Dave thing.
You'll have to do like Jeopardy did and The Daily Show, where you just have a series of guest co-hosts, or at least every once in a while.
Every now and again. Well, but remember that Rolling with the Doc was just a little bit separate from Rolling on the Road.
Right.
But we do have
wasn't that the show with maybe a few more adult themes?
Yes.
After hours. Nothing. I mean, this is a family show, so we try to keep it, between the.
Whereas Rolling with the Doc was more opinionated and, more reflective of 100 Shades of Diverse Abilities, mission statement, where we work to improve the quality of life for persons with diverse, abilities in their families, legislatively, economically, through the community partnerships and education. So we dealt a little bit more with politics and who's running, who's doing what, who should you vote for, and actually picking a candidate. Whereas, with Rolling on the Road, we're middle of the road. We don't say yes or no to anybody, especially, before 5 o'clock. We just tell you, here's all the people, vote
Correct.
for conscience.
Well, exactly, because it is absolutely critical for folks to vote. Wait a minute. Here's today's prop. Know your voting rights. If you're a person with a disability out there, anywhere in the United States, they have to provide accommodations. Know your voting rights. And whoever you vote for, it's awesome that you're voting, because here's a quick fun statistic, and it might be better now, but this was like a decade ago. And this is easy math. If 50% of voters turned out, 75% of seniors would have voted, but only 25% of people with disabilities. And so you wonder why senior citizens.
So if Johnny has 6 apples and went to the store and got 2 more apples,
he would have 3 bananas. He would have 3 bananas. Here we have, he takes his bananas and trades them with Susie for an orange because he really likes oranges. So the reality is that people who crunch the numbers, and they crunch the numbers, you hear this. Unfortunately, most political reporting these days is reporting on the horse race, not the issues. Meaning they report about like who's ahead in the polls. It's like, who cares who's ahead in the polls? What are they going to do about housing, employment, transportation, national defense, veterans? That's what we care about. And the polls will figure themselves out. I mean, who cares if you're ahead of the polls today? Because tomorrow you might be behind. And tomorrow they'll say, oh my gosh, they were ahead yesterday and now they're behind. And it's like, that's what all the talking heads talk about, as opposed to focus on what they're going to do. What do they say? And then let people decide. Come on, news media out there. Some of you people get paid more than Dr. Kimberly and I to tell the news, not blah, blah, blah about the horse race. So all that being said, they love to do exit polls. And that's when they start putting the numbers up on election night. They say, according to exit polls, people cared more about housing or this, or the youngsters didn't show up according to exit polls. And so on the exit polls, they're asking people, all the demographic questions. Are you a veteran? Are you a person with a disability? What's your race? What's your gender? What's your age? And they put all that stuff together and they track it. And it's all like, why should we care about people with disabilities? Because they don't vote.
Well, I know one that's going to vote, and I hope that he's really
Who's that?
excited.
Who's
And
that?
that's Hezekiah Bailey. He's a whole 19 years old, and he is the son of Vertaji. Um, and she's on watching. Hey, Vertaji. Got an opportunity to hang out with her and Hezekiah today in Detroit virtually, of course.
Nice.
And sometimes our state works and sometimes it doesn't. You know, when it doesn't, it's really bad. But when it does, it's really good. So today, the state of Michigan worked. And let's take the win, Vertaji. Let's take the win. Because I think it's going to be really, really great. And I wish that every city, every state had a disability network like Disability Advocates of Kent County. Hey, Vertaji said absolutely. And all right, the Queen is on here. Miss Electa Queen. Hello, hello, hello. I'm going to do this real quick. It's 20 minutes after the hour. And if you are watching on GRTV 25, today is Tuesday, July 2nd. And Dave and I are talking about this is year 5 for us. And we were kind of reminiscing. Today, we were supposed to have the mayor of Grand Rapids, Michigan. However, we got a really, really late in the middle of the night, kind of early in the morning email that said, unfortunately, we got a scheduling conflict. The mayor just got invited to be able to greet First Lady Joe Biden on today. She's flying into Grand Rapids. And so I said, well, I guess nobody else but the First Lady of the United States could preempt her, because anybody else, I'm sorry, they just have to wait.
Exactly. We'll be with you at 5:01 when we sign off. So we are already in process of rescheduling our conversation with Mayor Bliss. Those longtime listeners and viewers out there, y'all know that the mayor has been on the show a couple times. She's a great advocate for people with disabilities, as she is a person with a disability herself.
Absolutely. And you know what? This was really, she's never said publicly or claimed out loud about having a disability. So feel honored that our show, she actually identified herself as being a part of the community. We always knew that she was very instrumental in working with Downtown GR and us test pilots way back in the day. Now they're all fancy, you know, but we did a lot of work walking, rolling.
And of course, after that, we had her, that the city of Grand Rapids received the Invest in Ability Award.
Oh my gosh, that was true, because she came, we laughed about that one, because I was the impact speaker in 2016 and they were saying, well, who are we going to get for 2017? And so I was teasing her. I said, well, you know what? They did all right to get a follow-up behind me.
And in that, see, she called it. It's funny because, you know, in the good old days, newspapers used to print corrections. They were like hidden in the back of the newspaper. But during her remarks, she mentioned that she said that I told her to come on, tell us, just tell the disability story. Come on. It was actually Phil Tower, who's a good friend of Disability Advocates and a great friend of the show. We went live once with Phil when we were doing a tour through here. Do you remember that, Dr. Kimberly?
Oh my gosh, the Special Olympic cake.
That was like we've moved in here 2 years ago in May. So that was like almost 2.5 years ago. We did a live broadcast from here with Phil, and he came in at the end of the tour. But anyways, it was Phil Tower, who himself is a person with a disability. He's been MC of our event for many, many years. He and his wife, Diane, are huge friends and supporters of Disability Advocates. And Phil was the one who said to Rosalind, come on, Rosalind, speak your truth as a woman with a disability. And she did. But she thanked me for the encouragement, but it wasn't me. It was Phil who encouraged her. So anyways, let the record show.
Yeah. I mean, we have come a long way. I mean, now we've been on television now for what, 7 months? Almost 8 months. 8 months now that we've been on television.
I think it's been more than that because I mean, it was.
Oh, it was intermittently when we first
used to
started.
upload it. Remember,
Yeah.
we'd have to go in and upload it, folks. Technology has become so cool, but we'd have to upload the link from YouTube and give permission and fill out
all this paperwork. And we don't have to do anything anymore. They have somebody that just grabs it as soon as it's done. So if we're done at 5:01, at 5:03, they're picking it up. And by 11 o'clock tomorrow, I get an email. Dr. Kimberly, just want to let you know that here's the show that we picked up, and these are the dates that it's going to air. So it just, yes.
So we are out there spreading the word. Again, for those joining us late, expecting to see Grand Rapids Mayor Rosalind Bliss. She blew us off.
Guess
what?
I didn't advertise it.
You
that
didn't?
She was going to be here because I had a sneaky suspicion that something was a brewing.
Something was a brewing.
So I did not put her picture out there. And then I went and I changed on the so when it shows up on YouTube and on Facebook, it just says Dr. Kimberly and Dave. It doesn't say the mayor. I was like, I'm saving face today.
Exactly.
We shall not, because I'm really excited that on next Wednesday, we're going to go back with Rolling with the Doc. We're going to reprise that show. And if the cards fall the way that I think that they will, we're going to have a really great guest for the reprise of Rolling with the Doc.
Nice.
It might be somebody famous that you may have seen on television.
What?
Who now wants to get into politics. It just might be. I'm just saying.
We're just saying. You never know. You never know who's going to show up on this screen next to Dr. Kimberly and me.
Or Dave.
They're somewhere on this screen.
Yeah. So we were just saying earlier that if you come to my office, you're going to see this big, huge flag. Well, no, not a flag. It's a 4-month calendar that takes up a whole, how many panels? 3 panels of my space. And it's got all these names on there where all the Tuesdays filled up through August and all these names at the bottom. And we were talking about, we really need to go to another show. And we need to think about, getting another co-host because, both our bandwidths are kind of tight. And I had to think about that one. Nah, there's nobody somebody can guess co-host, but me and Dave thing, that's all on lockdown. Yeah.
Lockdown, just like the good old days.
It's on lockdown. I mean, the song says Dr. Kimberly and Dave. And yeah, we did one time where we added in an extra name, but just that one time.
Indeed.
That one time.
So, Dr. Kimberly, what else is happening? It's, depending on when you're watching it, this is being recorded on July 2, which means July 4 is 2 days away. I'm all about math problems today, folks.
What is that?
2 days from July 4th, or it could be 2 days after July 4th, depends when you're watching it. But July 4th, the birth of the nation, all that stuff. So what's shaking?
I personally, as a veteran with PTSD, don't like all of the snap, crackle, pop. And so kind of cut the television up and sit in my own little space. Yeah, colors are pretty, but just those noises kind of, yeah.
Our youngest always had the earmuffs on. And
we want to say thank you to Sharon Lapel for tuning in. Hey, Sharon, how's it going? That looks like a new name. So tell us where you're from. We always love new people. Always love new people. Yeah, not too fond of this particular holiday because I don't like all of the noise.
The booming.
Don't
The
like
booming.
it. Mm-mm. It makes you go.
And that's the wackiness, is because at least we'll see what happens Thursday night. That's when East Grand Rapids has their fireworks, and then Saturday night, July 6th, is when Grand Rapids has their fireworks. Yeah, I have a hankering to go listen to them because I definitely enjoy seeing the booms, so, or the flashes, and we'll see what hearing the booms. So
Ew.
yeah,
That military thing, that little
I
PTSD.
gotcha. Well, our neighborhood, I live in Easttown neighborhood of Grand Rapids, and by golly, when they legalized fireworks in the state of Michigan, I think they can start tonight and they can go
All the way
like,
till next week.
and they'll just keep doing it. I mean, it sounds horrendous out there. It's like, folks, holy mackerel.
And I was really good coming out of the military. I really was, until I lived on Pleasant between Union and Paris. I thought that was a really great neighborhood. I really did. It's
Yeah.
here to chill.
Yep.
And we were on the porch enjoying the fireworks, and our neighbor's son got into a beef with someone someplace else, like the Wealthy Street Boys or whatever he did. And he ran home for sanctuary, and they followed him, and they came and they started shooting up the street.
What?
And they sound very much like fireworks.
Exactly.
And so ever since then, I have not liked fireworks, and I have not liked the 4th of July. And I've chosen not to have therapy about it because there's a whole bunch of other stuff I needed to have therapy about than some fireworks. So thank you so much. Artie Franklin said, enjoy the holiday. I know he's going to barbecue. He is a great barbecuer, and he is a great cook. So yeah.
Exactly.
So that's my truth of not liking the noise. That is something that I don't know how people live that kind of life. And I just say people, persons, and I definitely am for gun reform, and let's get that stuff locked up. And I think they're even talking about having biometrics now placed on if you purchase a gun, that only you're the person that can do it. And I definitely don't like them, since this time, last year, right after we buried Stan, 2-year-old nephew was here in the house. In fact, he bumped into my china table, and that china is still tipped over because he left out of here. And that was the last time I saw him. The next thing I know, I got a phone call saying that he had picked up a gun. He's 2 years old. It was on the news, and had shot himself.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. All of that is so serious. And on the issue of gun reform, I totally agree with you. You can get what you need for protection and hunting. That's not the issue, but how are we making sure people are doing the right thing with them? And then when we start talking about PTSD and other issues, A, do we as a community take that seriously enough? And B, do we support the needed therapies and recoveries for folks?
In the VA community, absolutely yes. And the VA has sanctioned different areas throughout the state of Michigan. So there's places up north, places on the west side, places on the east side, and down lower where veterans can go. I don't have that list right now, but they do have places that you can go, and there are no fireworks, and you can enjoy the 4th in quiet.
Well, and that's the cool part there is, A, you tell people when and where they're going to be, and then you provide options so you can be far away when it's happening, and you can make that choice, as opposed to, again, my neighborhood, we're going to be sitting in the living room and they're just going to start going off. Totally surprised, unscheduled. And it's going to be shocking to me, and I don't have PTSD. I couldn't imagine for yourself, Dr. Kimberly, if you lived in East Town, to hear what sounds like gunfire in every direction.
And that would be a reason for me to move. I would, just for that reason. Like, oh wow, really? Just for one day out of the year? Yes, a couple days. I want to say thank you to Deborah and Gray for tuning in today. How are you? Lovely, lovely. And her family cooks as well. They have great food for the holidays. Enjoy it. I've enjoyed some wonderful holidays with them as well over the years. All these great folks. Unfortunately, I don't have that same kind of diet, but it's nice to reminisce.
The reminiscing of, this summertime, it's barbecue time. Now, of course, in Michigan, we barbecue 12 months a year because we're just hardy folk up here. I'm going to say it, folks.
We do.
Yes.
It's amazing. My neighborhood, oh my God, it's just hilarious. Everybody has their grill. And I think that's what I'm going to really miss this summer, because last summer, being in the hospital, having a heart attack, all that stuff. But now that, life is quote unquote normal, if you will, I'm going to miss him pulling out that grill. And then, all the neighbors, everybody's pulling it out. So what do you got on yours? Oh yeah. So we got these shish kebabs. We made our own beef today.
We just went down the street, butchered a cow. Here's
I'm like, okay. So, gonna kind of miss all of that bantering and everybody passing whatever their latest sauce or seasoning.
Folks, I'm just gonna say it, you might look behind Dr. Kimberly and think she lives in a civilized world, but she lives out in the country. So she's probably a mile from a cow pasture, and I'm not making that up.
I don't even think I'm quite a mile away.
She is on the edge of civilization, in spite of the fact that it looks like she is in civilization. She is surrounded by pastoral America.
And what is
cows,
so funny,
chickens, goats, pigs.
Is when I move on the other end, it's going to even be a little more.
So it's true. It's true.
Sidewalks down that way. But the best part of this month, though, that in 16 days, it's going to be my birthday. Yes, July 18th. So I'm looking forward to coming in to my cubicle and everybody done signed a card or something, and there's a fruit tray. Look, hint, hint.
Well, we prefer donuts around here. Fruit's too good for you.
What?
Yeah.
I guess I'll have to get some from Dunkin' Donuts for everybody else, but
we got it.
Yeah, so I'm gonna have a beer day.
That's our next. Did you get the invitation? Yes, you did, for the next Black and Brown Community Partner Lunches, because there was a small snafu there.
It's on your birthday.
On your birthday.
But on that day, I will be at John Ball Zoo with Gift of Life and my nephew and my husband.
On your birthday?
Yeah, will be up there as being part of the half-mile walk, as being donors. So I'm excited. Nice. Their picture and their story will be up. Nice. So I'm going to take that 4-hour bus ride to John Ball Zoo, coming all the way from Byron Center to go to John Ball.
Well, and then you do the, 1.25 miles from your house to the bus stop?
Yeah, I'm going to take the Bentley out instead of the Mercedes.
Okay.
So I can kind of peruse and then stop and, of course, do a PSA.
Or 2. Or
or 3 or 4. All right, folks, this is an election year. That's all we're going to say. It's an election year. We got to get out and vote, regardless of. You can start voting early on July 27th. And if you are an absentee ballot person, you can start sending it in.
already? When?
Yeah, as of Sunday, there were people who turned theirs in.
Wow.
But July 27th is early voting.
But that's
And they're going to have 3 polls open. That's where you can go in person.
So that's in the city of Grand Rapids, but then they have them elsewhere?
Just in the city, as far as I know. They announced it on Sunday.
Okay, I'm going to Googleize early voting in.
While he's doing that, the time is now 4:40 p.m. here in the United States. For those of you guys who are watching in other countries, especially in Nigeria, I got to give thumbs up. They are really catching up to our folks over here in the United States. We have a really great following over in Nigeria. So the time here in the United States now is 4:41, and it is Tuesday, July 2nd. I think there it might already be in some areas already Wednesday, but today is Tuesday here in the United States. And we want to say thank you so much for tuning in, especially if you're watching via GRTV 25, because by the time you see this, it's going to be, yeah. Some shows are a week later. I think some are even almost a month. Almost a month behind. Yeah. As he's Googling.
Now it says, okay, folks, if you're in Michigan, and I'm sure your state's going to be the same, you go to your Secretary of State and they're going to have some voter information center kind of thing. Now, I tried to put in my address at Michigan Secretary of State and it said there isn't information. I searched for the early voting locations for me and they said, we don't have any information. Try searching a different way. So I'm going to quick try a different way. But you can find out these things if you're in Michigan, because we passed a law 2 years ago that allows people to vote early and in person, and then we have no reason absentee. And so there's no excuse. I couldn't make it. You can get there. Though I do have an excuse, Dr. Kimberly. Last November, true story, full disclosure, because we believe in full disclosure. Last November, I wanted to vote in person, and I got the vid. And there wasn't much on the ballot last November here. It was an off-year election. So I chose to stay home to even going out with a mask on because there's a lot of people, a lot of the poll workers these days are senior citizens because they're folks who have a day that's a free because it's a long day. But I didn't want to get anybody sick with COVID. So I did. It was an excuse, but it was a legit excuse. But definitely plan ahead, vote early. It tells me where I can vote election day, early voting. No early voting information is available. What? Your clerk has not recorded receiving your absentee ballot request because I didn't. And then there's Dropbox locations by many libraries in Grand Rapids. You can drop off your absentee ballot. So folks,
we'll have the dates and the times and the places because they had 3 places that came on Sunday and said the 3 places trying to get folks, especially those of color, to come out and vote.
I
and
love
vote.
one of my favorite efforts is Souls to the Polls.
And they stopped doing that, but I think this year they're going to allow them to bring souls to the polls.
Well, because it was like illegal for somebody to give somebody a ride,
Yep.
but then they changed the law to allow people. It's like, what do you mean I can't give somebody a ride to the polls unless they're like a family member or I'm their caregiver? So it's a wacky world. I'm just gonna say it's a wacky world.
See, it's all wonky.
Wonky, today's technical term brought to you by the letter W. Wonky.
Well, I loved it. So we had this. Oh, this is so funny. So Hill Harper came. They had a clergy round table at my church Sunday with Hill Harper, and he said, "How many people know?" Because of course you know me. They had a Q&A, and my question was number 2, of course, and I said, "Would he sponsor? I have this bill in mind that, well, you and I have been talking about this bill. It's one of them." So one was about disability, parents caring for children with disabilities. And right now, the way it stands is that they get 12 weeks off with, for FMLA. But FMLA, those 12 weeks are unpaid. And who can go 12 weeks and not get paid? And if you have a child that has a disability, it's going to last more than 12 weeks. So I think that for the ADA, where there's special accommodations that are being made, that a parent with a child should be able to use the ADA and get special accommodation when it comes to their work schedule and having that flexibility. So I asked him, I said, would you support a bill, that would allow for parents who are caring for children with disabilities to fall up underneath the ADA for special accommodations on their jobs? And of course, he gave this big, long speech, but then he prefaced it with, so how many people even know, what she's talking about a bill? And he goes, you guys remember that Schoolhouse Rock, where I'm just a bill sitting on Capitol Hill. So he gave a great explanation as to what a bill is, how a bill becomes a law, and then who is responsible.
Yep.
He is really good. And he talked about the different parts of their government and that it's the U.S. Senate, are the ones, 100 people, he says, who are deciding, what's going to happen with your life. So, a state rep can get the information. They're going to give it to us. We're going to put it on the floor, and then that's where a bill comes to life. So I thought that he did an excellent job explaining. But after he finished everything at the end, he says, absolutely yes, and did a spin with it that, he would support that bill, because there are many parents that have children with disabilities that I think I just had a patron or client that came, and I brought her to Disability Advocates, and we kind of spent the day. We worked with Jenny Markle. You guys, she's the information specialist. She's the guru. And we kind of started there. And you really need to come to the building, because then we left there. We were able to go down to, the autism section and got a lot of information from the autism section. And then we kind of went around. Then we went into the office, got an opportunity to talk to their program director of getting her son, into some of the sports because he's autistic. And it was just wonderful and she just couldn't believe it, that she got all of these things in one place, had been trying and going all over. And it was all because she came to my house and she Ubered me something to eat. And hey, really? We got to talking, and boom, I think that was on a Thursday or Friday, and Monday we were at the building.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how it works, guys.
That's how it works. We try, and Jenny tries, and she succeeds.
And
So
it works out really, really well because I like to say that 100 Shades is kind of like um, a safety net, that catcher between big pharma and the little people. I'm just kind of like right there in the middle. And you're like, you need somebody that can understand on both ends. I say, okay, wait a minute. Let me help you cut through some of that red tape. And I'm going to get you right to the person that you're going to need. Let's get this taken care of. And we're like, boom. Or if you need me to come and sit in the room because you're sitting with Big Pharma and being that extra set of ears and saying, hey, like I kind of had to fight with MRS. And I said, they wanted to talk policy. And I said, but you have to understand, I sat on, the council for the state of Michigan that wrote those policies. And sometimes what we write and how it actually comes to life doesn't always mesh. So sometimes when we hear what happens in real life, there might be a policy or procedure that might need to be changed. So we're not going to harp so much on that. How about we say, we know what this is. Let's mark this down as something that kind of needs to change and let's solve the problem.
well, and your point is so spot on and needed. Is like you're not only the catcher, bridge builder, but you're also the interpreter, because somebody who works within government, they say it this way, which might not be meaningful to the person who's just living their everyday life. So you're like, okay, tell me what your needs are. And then you're saying to the system, okay, I got to translate these needs into your language. I call them the magic words, because if you don't say the magic words, if you're just a person, the system will say, oh, sorry, we don't have that.
Right. We want to say thank you to Debbie Williams for tuning in. And I kind of heard that today as I sat in a meeting with MRS, disability rights, and someone from the STEM program. And as everyone is talking, and then you have the parent with their child, and everybody is speaking in acronyms, and this is what we do. And it's like, okay.
And they do, and they throw out the acronyms right and left and right.
Then you had the doctor, the doctor was there, had the assessment, and we really need to kind of change this process. And, what it looks like from when we write these plans. And I'm telling you, I mean, it's like the stat that we get is like this, and you get less than a week they give you your section that you have to go through that Michigan, because it's actually a consortium of the Midwest, and everybody's putting in their parts to be able to have to the governor by a certain amount of time. And we're all combing through saying, okay, and I'm taking notes like, that's never going to work in real life. Okay, yep, that sounds good. Yeah, who thought this up? Clearly, you never had a child with a disability, or clearly you don't have a disability and you don't understand. Hey, Doc, thank you so much. Hey, Heidi DeVries. You clearly don't understand. She said, Dave's home. Yes, Dave is home.
Dave's home.
And you clearly don't understand what this looks like in reality. You've never come down to a Center for Independent Living and worked with, the person that has the disability, or worked with the family that's trying to get assistance. You
Yes.
Clearly have not, and what that looks like.
Which reminds me, one of my favorite disability bumper stickers, which we haven't printed yet, is when it comes to disability, you don't get it until you get it.
That's all I can say.
And it's not no judgment there, folks. No judgment. Life is busy enough. It's just not on your radar. But when because how many people have looked at you, Dr. Kimberly, and said, oh my gosh, I don't know how you do it. Living life in a wheelchair. I saw the eye roll. The eye roll. Exactly. Because it's like, oh my gosh, how do you do it? And it's just like, I couldn't do it. And it's like, yeah, you could. Yeah, you would. But
You really would. I mean, I
until it
was 47 years old and I acquired my disability at 47. So here I am. Like, what do I do now? Trust me, I figured it out. And it didn't take a long time. You know, you just
Yep.
realize that it's everybody else's fault, not your,
Right, right.
you know, you realize that the world is built one way and it doesn't change until you do get it. Hey, Tracy Howland, thank you so much for tuning in. You know, you don't get disability until you get it. And unfortunately, you know, you don't have a ramp until guess what? I have to have knee surgery. Now you want the whole world, you know, to change. And you realize that the mall doesn't have handicap parking or accessible parking, you know, close to an entranceway. They have it off to the side. And that you didn't care about that. It didn't matter to you. But now that you had knee surgery or you've had hip surgery and you have to park in that accessible parking spot and you realize how far away it is from the door, then you find out that when you get to the door, oh, guess what? I don't have the strength to pull the door open. I wish they had an automatic door opener, but then you find out that the door is not automatic. You got to walk back 3 feet, go push the button, and then try to walk fast enough to get through the door. And then you're like, shit.
It's true. It's true. It's true.
Like,
You know it's true. And it's like people complain, you know, they walk by unfilled accessible parking and then they acquire a disability and get a parking pass and then the parking places are filled. They're all full and they're like, Dave, we need more accessible parking. I'm like, yeah, go talk to the owner because we do too. But and of course, you know, people think accessible parking is like something special and something extra. But if without accessible parking, as Dr. Kimberly just noted, people might not have the strength or energy to walk those few hundred feet from the available parking. And so you need to park closer or you wouldn't come to the store or ballpark or social venue. You know, it's, yeah. Oh yeah.
I mean, we could really go on and on and on, you know, about it. But I love how things are changing. And I do love that. How do I want to put it? I think the more Heidi DeVries says, or the bathrooms that they have the stalls that assuming that you can get in them, or they're already filled with a non-disabled person. And then somebody did a whole bunch of loves and high hearts and thumbs up. So I'm going to tell you my naughty little thing that I like to do is I love rolling into the bathroom and sitting right in front of the stall for the wheelchair. And then I sit there and the person is able-bodied. And I look at them and I said, I think I just pottied on myself, waiting for you to come out of my bathroom.
You are.
Oh my gosh. And so Tommy Allen said I needed to carry a bottle of Mellow Yellow or Mountain Dew and just pour it on the floor so when they come out.
It's, you know,
and then
that would get people's attention.
But the excuse that everybody gives me is, but your bathroom is so much bigger. And I'm just like, okay, and your point. I said, so it can accommodate my wheelchair.
I know.
It's going to accommodate my wheelchair. But what I love though, I mean, in all of it, I've learned so much in these 11 years. And I'm not angry, not bitter, and have enjoyed being a part of the changes in the process. I still have all my pictures where we, went and got that bill signed by more than a landslide, and to see our picture in the Capitol on the floor after we got all the signatures, so that it no longer says handicap, but it says accessible. So,
and with the Go logo.
yeah, so we're like these because we're on the move. But can you believe it? It's 5:00 already.
Oh my goodness, it is.
It's 5:00.
Folks, who needs a mayor or first lady? Because we have Dr. Kimberly. And we're here. And we've rolled to the end of another hour.
We have.
Stick with us. It's going to be a busy month of July into August, as Dr. Kimberly said. Next Wednesday, Rolling with the Doc returns.
Ba-dum-bum.
A reprise, or a re-something, a
Reboot.
Reboot of that. Awesome.
Yes, and our top show from Rolling with the Doc was with Grammy nominated Richard Smallwood, and to date that show has, watch this, I'm getting ready to pull it up because it blows my mind every time I see 100 Shades. Let's see, then we go here, we say interview with Richard Smallwood, and oh my gosh, according to mine, I come up number 2 on YouTube when you put in, and it has 8,971 views. Yes.
Good stuff, folks. Keep rolling with us and roll with the Doc. She does a little rolling solo.
Yeah, we're gonna get deep into the mission of 100 Shades, which is we're gonna get into some legislative stuff and interview some folks and see what are they actually gonna do for us in this upcoming year. Because we need to know, who do we need to vote for? We don't want to vote the numbers, but we want to vote the issues. So we're going to find out what the issues are. What do you stand for?
And ask candidates. Candidates are all out there on social media. They got websites. Ask them questions. What are you going to do with the disability community? How are you going to make these programs better and more effective? People need help. That's what government comes together for, is how do we help each other? And so ask your questions, make your decisions, and vote.
Yep, but we're going to spend some time on these Wednesdays so that we can get our folks voted and get them through the primary. We need to look and see who needs to go. And of course, with Rolling with the Doc, we can endorse more than what we can with Rolling on the Road. So we just make sure that we're separate. And I'll make that disclaimer that over here, this is family friendly and we love everybody. But over here with 100 Shades, we take a we take a side. We pick somebody, we do. But we thank you guys, and we will see you on next week. I do believe we'll be in Kansas next week. I think that's where we're going to be, is in Kansas.
Are you sure, Dorothy?
I believe so. If we're not in Kansas, we're either in Kansas or Oklahoma, but I know that we're out west.
All right. Well, join us in the high plains of America next week, Tuesday, folks. We'll be here.
See you guys.